And I've switched over to YouTube. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, and this is again Tuesday at 10. And we're here to talk about the tech topics of the day and try and help each other, give each other some troubleshooting advice, some directions to look to solve problems. I am always here, available outside of this club if anybody needs help with anything. And Mom's here too. Hi, Mom. We've got a good group. So did any of you folks, oh, and Linda's just popping in now. I will reshare this document because new people that join the Meet group don't get to see the historic chat, and so they don't have the link that I shared earlier. So I'm going to paste it now.
I have a topic.
Oh, great, Chester. Yeah, what do you got?
I have an old computer. I bought an Apple big screen because at the time that was the only thing available. And of course I run Windows on it, but I'm having it freeze up, and it's freezing up quite frequently. And I'm just curious of why that would happen.
Well, you haven't added any new software. Say that again, Chester.
Not that I can think of.
None that I
can think of.
Yeah, well, one of the frustrating things about computers is that if it's not a repeatable problem, then it's very difficult to solve. Yeah, are you able to narrow it down? Are you able to cause the problem? Like, do you know what causes it to freeze it up?
If I, for example, am switching around too quickly, I think, go from one, from one, not account, but from one item to another item, it'll freeze up. Like if I'm in Amazon and switch items too quickly, it wants to freeze up. Or if I'm in Outlook and go from one email to another, it'll freeze up.
Do you have a lot of tabs open?
I don't know.
Do you
programs open?
Yep.
Chester, I think what you want to do is first narrow down whether it's your device or something connected to your device. So if you can repeat the problem, then I would disconnect any extras you have connected to your computer, any external hard drives, any of that kind of stuff, and then try and repeat the problem again. Because it could be an intermittent issue happening in the background of your system that's affecting you. And that would very quickly eliminate anything outside of the box. And if the problem persists, you've immediately... Go ahead.
Is an external hard drive that's backs up my computer once a week.
Sure. So I think what I would do is I would just disconnect anything external and then just try and repeat the problem. And I've had devices where I've had to go through and systematically reconnect something, because I think you ought to just disconnect everything to begin with. If the problem goes away, if you've got a good test pattern and a repeatable problem, if it goes away immediately, then you know it's in that bunch of stuff that you had connected to your computer. And then one by one, reconnecting things and doing that test pattern again. It's a test plan to see if it reoccurs. And many times you'll sort out there's a bad cable somewhere, or there's a hard drive that's having problems. And that issue is causing the rest of your issue. But I would disconnect everything to begin with.
Okay.
I would suggest you start with first disconnecting the internet. Turn off Wi-Fi or everything, and try and see if you ever get it to fail with just running applications on your own computer. That's the first thing I think to test.
Well, and Dave, that's not a bad suggestion, but Chester had mentioned that it was an Amazon thing and then an Outlook thing. If you can have the problem outside of the internet applications, then I think that's a great test, because as soon as the internet's gone, if it's related to internet, it should be gone, and so then you know it's an internet problem that you're having.
I'm kind of inclined to think it is, because if I would move to one attachment to another attachment too quickly, it'll freeze up.
Yeah. I had an interest. Oh, go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry. I know you've been trying to get a word in. Go ahead.
What about memory?
But nothing's changed there in years.
Well, and is anything failing, or is it just this hesitation that you're having with the computer? Like a freezing
and you have to wait. You know, you can sit there and twiddle your thumb and it'll eventually catch up.
Huh?
Yeah, but you don't have the only spinning drives that you have, I think, are outside the computer. The inside drive, isn't it an SSD?
I think the inside has two drives, one spinning and one stable.
Oh, it's one of those hybrid.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I bought this thing, I don't know, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Is it Windows or Apple?
Well,
it's Windows on Apple.
Running Windows.
Yeah. Well, because it has a spinning drive, then Chester, you need to be aware that those spinning drives wear out over time. And so that's also another thing to consider. I think that's the train of thought I would follow. Is I like disconnecting every additional peripheral you have to make sure one of those isn't causing you a problem. If the problem persists, I like the idea of testing it without internet. I mean, I guess you can do that either way. And if the problem persists, then maybe do a check disk on your hard drive. But those spinning drives, they typically get a warranty that's like 3 to 5 years. And then what we see is that they start wearing out. And they wear out in good behavior. It's got error checking built into it. And so typically you're not losing data as it's wearing out. But what you are doing is losing time, because what the drive does is it self-identifies that it's given the wrong information and goes back for the information again. You're not aware of that anything except for just taking time to do. And so as a drive gets older, it physically starts moving slower for you. And eventually it will fail because it's a mechanical part and it wears out. And eventually it will start having errors that will be unrecoverable. But until they're unrecoverable, they are recoverable with error checking. And that's what's happening as it gets slower and slower.
Let me give you an example. And I would doubt it's the hard drive based on this example. Let's say I'm looking at emails and I'm looking at an attachment. And I drop down to another email and click on that attachment. Well, then she freezes up. The pointer will move all over, but nothing happens.
Hey, I've got another suggestion for you that might help. If you can see my screen, I would turn on the task manager just by right-clicking on the taskbar and choosing task manager from the menu that comes up. And that task manager can be used to monitor your performance. And you can see where there's a lag. It's taking forever. You can see in my system right now, there is a lag. Come on, bring it up. We're waiting for it. I'm going to switch back to it when it pops up because it's taking too much, this call. And there we go. Here it comes. Come on. I've got too many things rolling in this computer. I'm bringing it up now. There we go. There's my page. This is the task manager. Now, the task manager normally comes up in a very simple, detailed view. If you don't use the task manager, this view that's going to come up in just a second. Still waiting for it because my computer's working too hard. Okay, this is what it comes up in its simple view. I don't know if you can see that right here. It just lists the 3 programs that I have running right now. But if you click the more details, that opens up a more robust.
I just did it on my.
Okay, and then under performance, it gives you historic charts. You see this, Chester? So this is historic graphic behavior of your computer, and if you double click on this left hand column, it collapses everything down to these historic charts. And now you can put this off to the side while you're working. You can monitor your CPU, your memory, your hard drive, your USB devices, your Wi-Fi while you're working. So if all of a sudden it freezes up, you can look over and see what has spiked to help you narrow down where the problem is, if it's a memory or a problem. If you're following me along here, you'll see my CPU is pegged out at like 90% right now. That's the reason I freeze up from time to time.
Yeah, mine's at 35. Mine's at 38%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I asked them what happens is the more people that join our group, the harder my processor is running for me to broadcast it. But yeah, so.
Okay, that's good. I wasn't aware of this. I got it. That could be helpful, really helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful for me when I'm diagnosing problems.
Your computer slows down, Scott, when more people run. The reason is that everyone is displaying their face and image, and thus they're constantly transmitting and recreating that stuff back and forth, causing a huge workload. Yeah,
but the other way to put that, David, is my computer sucks. It's a Generation 7 Intel when we're on Generation 12 now. Yeah, my computer is just not capable of handling it. I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
Yeah. In my case right now, it's showing Microsoft Edge as being by far my biggest user of everything. And it's the only thing I have running basically on the whole computer right now is Edge doing this broadcast. There's some other tasks running, but like mail doing next to nothing.
Well, and Dave, you've used this task manager before. You'll see that many times the task manager takes up a significant amount of processing power. And you have to be wary of that when you're running it, is that you can overburden your computer by adding the process of managing the tasks that I just showed you. Like I just turned mine off because I'm so close to the edge of my computer that just displaying that graph takes more out of my computer than I want it to. In that respect, I've actually adopted.
Chester, I'm a little bit suspicious of.
Say that again, Dave.
Chester, I'm also suspicious of a lock, because normally when things don't work well, they'll resolve themselves in a few seconds. If you tell me it takes 30 seconds to resolve, usually that means something is locked and it's waiting for that other process to finish before it releases the lock and then goes back to working.
That makes a lot of sense. Because it takes more than a few seconds.
Yeah, the problem is Microsoft has lousy controls over analyzing locks that are occurring.
What would create a lock?
Well, that's what I was going to say is that
the data, if they think that another user could be using it, and I would think part of that might be happening from your combined Apple and Microsoft installation, that it could be saying, I'm going to lock this task in one of them, and then the other one tries to do something, and it's waiting for the first task to either time out and release the lock or to something be updated.
Well, David, keep in mind that if it's an OS issue outside of a flaw, it would have to be some update that has caused it, because Chester's been rolling like this for years, and he's reporting this as a new problem.
Other than volume could be part of it too.
Other than what?
Bigger, more apps running, etc. Or hardware.
Right, but there hasn't been an issue. I mean, there is every possibility that a Windows 10 update came out that caused this problem. But at the same time, I think we would start hearing about that kind of issue. I think that the first direction with this is probably setup. It's probably age of the system. It's probably, I mean, it just seems like a reasonable thought. Just because it's been working up till now. And I mean, the exception is because Windows does change periodically. And so you could have gotten an update that would cause a problem, which would fall along those kinds of lines.
I was going to ask Chester about the Windows 10 update we just had. Did your problem start when we just did that Windows 10 update?
When you say that, Linda, you're talking about the 21H2 update?
The Windows 10, because my laptop that's Windows 10 just had an update on it this week.
So are you talking about the 21H2 update? They've done this big roll up.
Go automatically.
Yeah, big roll up that is essentially a change of the operating system to a next generation that came out a while ago. I mean, just like within the last month too. We were on 21H1, and if you're curious what you're at, you can click on your start button with the right mouse button and choose system, and it'll show you the about for your version of Windows. And it'll tell you which version of Windows you're running. Windows is supposed to stand well enough where you're at in all this and decide whether your equipment is ready for any particular version of it. And so any given person may have a different version of Windows given the model of their computer and where we are in the release schedule. I'm waiting for my about to come up now. I should really do this on a different computer. It's taking forever. Yeah, because there it is right there. So if you look at your about, this is the reason I do it on this computer, is so you guys can see it on my screen if you need to. If you look at your settings under your about, it gives you specifics about your computer, and down here it says Windows specifications, and it says the edition and what version you're on. And this 21H2 is the latest version of Windows. So that would be good to note as well. Go ahead, Linda.
Windows 10, correct?
Yes, Windows 10 is what we're talking about. In my case, if you're looking at my screen, it's Windows 10 Home Edition. System, if you click with the right mouse button on the start button, it brings up a menu, and one of the options is System.
Mine says version 21H2.
All right, so you are completely up to date. What date was it installed?
I'll go back and see.
If it was recently installed, that might be a point. That might be Linda might be right. It might be related to the latest update.
No, it was August of 20.
August, it's got to be 21, right?
It says 20.
20.
We've had so many updates on Windows 10. I'll go look on mine.
Yeah, Chester, I think your installed on date should be in the format of month, day, year. Maybe it's not expanded all the way for you to see it all.
No, it says August the 7th of 2020.
Of 2020?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I bet that date, I'm looking at it thinking that it's telling you the date of your current version, but it's telling you the date of the very first version of Windows 10 you installed. And I'm sorry I didn't recognize that, but that's what's going on. Is that date doesn't represent the latest version of Windows. It represents the first version of Windows installed. You've been running Windows 10 on that computer since August 20 or 2020.
I've been running it a lot longer than that.
Maybe that was the last reinstall of Windows
Maybe that
10.
was a reinstall.
Yeah, maybe there was a problem that required a reinstall. I mean, still, that was 2 years ago.
Okay, well, I can't bring it up yet. Okay, can I ask a question?
Oh, please do. I think we've given Chester some stuff to work with. He's going to come back with information for us next week. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, so you know how you told me to use the user to get on my passport, put on my passport? Well, it stopped doing it, and evidently it didn't put it on and gave me an error message. And now I can't seem to find out. I went into the check disk to find out if there was something wrong, why it stopped, and now it's not in my passport, because when I plugged it into my new laptop, there's nothing there.
So it did the copy successfully, but you can't find it on your other computer?
No, it didn't do the copy successfully. It stopped in the middle.
Okay, so we wouldn't expect to see it on the other computer.
Probably not, because when I went into user, there's nothing there.
I wonder why it stopped in the middle. What kind of error message did it give you?
It had me ask me to check disk, and I went in there and did a check disk.
And then
I don't know.
You've started the copy
again.
again?
Laptop up right now.
Yeah, Linda, you've started that copy again after the check disk?
Yes, and I didn't get anything.
Wait, so it copied successfully the second?
What I'm doing. Am I doing something wrong?
Well, it sounds like you're having problems that shouldn't exist. So we're trying to sort out what the problems are. But I'm curious, after you did this check disk, then did you try the copy again?
No, because I thought it wasn't going to copy. And when I went to my user files in my new laptop, it's not there.
Wait, I'm sorry, Linda, but again, you did not successfully copy it?
No, evidently not.
And you got an error message telling you to check your hard drive.
Yep.
So it sounds like you must be dealing with a hard drive problem. I would suspect it's either on your main hard drive or it's on your external hard drive.
So you think I should try and clean off my external hard drive again and try to do it again?
No, but I would definitely do a check disk on both drives.
You can do a check disk on your external passport?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, and if it checks out good, then I would be very wary of your cables as well. Make sure that you feel like you have confidence in your USB cable for that external drive, because that can cause problems too.
Okay. Well, this has got that special external USB cord, you know, with the two parts.
Right. Right, because it's a My Passport. And then if
Right,
that
but
doesn't,
I'm wondering, is it because that My Passport doesn't want to go to Windows 11, but I put My Passport on the Windows 11 computer.
well, it shouldn't have anything to do with the operating system at that point. I mean, right now, still, it feels like you're trying to successfully copy it from your old computer, and you haven't done that yet.
Okay, so let me see if I go back into systems. Okay, now.
Yeah, whatever your solution, it's going to be a time-consuming process. If it's going to check disk, the only way that it's going to go fast is if there is no problems. But if it does find a problem, it could take anywhere from 20 minutes to hours to resolve it. If check disk does find a problem on your external drive, well, the next thing I would do is run it again. I also think if there's a problem that won't go away, like you run it again and it finds another problem, well, that's enough for me to say you can't be confident in your external drive anymore, or any drive that's behaving like that. Let me say that, any drive that's behaving like that. And so I think your whole motivation is changing from copying stuff out of your laptop to getting another external drive. And whatever's on that external drive, you might want to back up on a new device as well. We're a little, I'm jumping a little ahead, but if there's a problem with copying that's telling you that you need to check disk to sort them out, you're having a disk problem somewhere, and it's either your main drive or it's that external drive.
Okay, so tell me something. On Windows 11, where do you find your users? I can't.
Well, I would just use the File Explorer.
On the new computer. Huh?
I would use File Explorer, and then you'll find, I don't have 11 in front of me, so I can't look at it. But even in the File Explorer, it seems to me they still had that hierarchy in the column on the left. And so you should be able to find like this computer, this PC.
Yeah, this PC.
And then if you look, that opens to the right, and it says things like desktop, documents, downloads, pictures, music. Yeah. And so that's where you would accommodate any of your data.
Okay, so if I go into Windows, would I right-click on it or left?
Well, you wouldn't go into Windows. Windows would be your system folder.
Where would I go?
Okay, so
system folder.
Yeah, it's not a system folder. You're looking for where to accommodate your data, which would be under the user.
Yeah.
So I don't have Windows 11 in front of me, Linda, but if there is a folder that you can look at, because that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for a user's folder. If you can't see it, then maybe
you double click on Windows C, and then it brings up BIOS, drivers, users.
There you go.
Okay, and
that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you good?
And there's nothing there. It's got all these different, it's got some stuff there, but it doesn't have everything there. Like maybe what was coming, it's got the new stuff there, but it doesn't look like it's got the stuff that came off the other one.
So I guess I'm confused. Did you successfully copy from your old computer to the external drive, and the error is on the new computer?
No, it's on the old one. I was trying to get the
So
user stuff onto the passport.
So in this conversation, I'm feeling like we're still on your old computer.
Yeah, on the old computer.
At no point we've put it into the new computer yet.
I don't think so, because I tried to get something up and it wouldn't come up.
So
see, like all my pictures, they're not on there.
Yeah, but Linda,
So
I'm sorry. I'm just confused where we are at the moment. That's all. Because
I'm trying to get the stuff off my old computer onto the passport.
Onto the passport. So you're on your old computer, you're in Windows 10, you're looking at the passport, and what I'm telling you is that if it said that you need to check it with a disk check, then you need to check both those drives because you're having a drive issue somewhere. And if you're having a drive issue somewhere, then of course you would have a fail as you're trying to copy stuff over. And so things would be missing from it.
Okay, so when you go in your passport, how do you get the user's file? Or to check, to do a check disk on the passport?
Oh, you actually, it wouldn't matter with the user's file. What you'd be doing is a check disk on that drive. It would pop up in File Manager under this PC with the right mouse button. If you...
Okay, I just...
Yeah, and there's tools, properties. I've got an external drive on my screen right now. It's a 4 terabyte backup drive.
Well,
I'm clicking on it with the right mouse button.
Scott?
Yes, Dave. Under properties, it brings up a file tab menu.
Method. Try an easy one.
What's the easy method? Under tools, there's error checking right there.
Easy method is just go into File Explorer, set the default to search all drives and folders, and just do a search on users.
Well,
you'll find I've accidentally deleted something like that myself. Didn't realize it, and you just do a search, and then you find where you accidentally moved it or where it is, where it's going to search everything on that entire drive.
Yeah, sure, Dave. That's a great. That's a good advice for finding something.
If you want to find out your update status,
the issue right now is that her copy is failing, Dave. David. David, her issue is that the copy is failing.
And I would first do check this.
That's what I'm telling her to do.
First. Number 2 is FSC. FSC?
What's FSC?
This system file checker, which says if your directory for getting to files is screwed up, it fixes it.
No, I'm sorry. You're talking about the system file checker. Hold on. Slow down. You can use SFC if you want. But what that's going to do is it's going to compare your Windows files to the archived Windows files to make sure you have the right files and that they're not corrupt. And again, what we're talking about is the failure of copying files from the root system to an external drive, Dave. When she goes to copy the user files to her external drive. And so that's the issue right now, is how do you get all those files on that drive when it's failing? We need to find where the failure is. And it's a disk drive failure. It's either in her main drive or the external drive.
Status.
I'm sorry?
We haven't found any errors on the drive. You can still scan the drive for errors if you want.
Which drive?
Yeah.
Again, you should be scanning both drives because two drives are involved in this. So you should be doing a check disk on both drives. Especially if you don't find a problem on the first one.
Do you do that?
I'm sorry, Linda, I'm going to do it again on screen here, okay? Here are drives in Windows 10 displayed under this PC. If you're following my screen,
You're not
Linda?
coming in on my screen. Yeah.
And here
Yes,
I'm going to click
I'm
with the
in
right
this
mouse
PC.
button and choose Properties. And that'll bring up this window right here, this Properties window. Typically comes up with the General tab. And then you go over to Tools. And at the top here, it says Error Checking.
Okay, stop. Stop. Local disk C first,
You should check both drives.
right?
It's the same process. Now C, if you go to check
Okay,
C,
and
if it finds a problem, it's going to have to restart the computer. But an external drive, it doesn't have to restart the computer.
okay, so I right-click on local C. Okay, so I left-click on C and go to users.
You right-click. No, wait, you're following me. Again, if you look at my screen, I've got the Properties window up for my external 4 terabyte drive. I could swear you were right there with me. This has nothing to do with users.
Okay, so I've got.
You asked me how to check the drive.
I've got local C up.
Okay, so you would click on it with the right mouse button, and you'd choose Properties from the bottom of the menu. You see my screen? That'll bring up the File Properties dialog. It's typically on General, shows you how much. Go to Tools.
Yeah.
And at the top, it's got Error Checking. You just click the button, check.
Go to Tools. Yeah.
Now do that for both drives.
However,
especially if the first one you do doesn't show any errors.
With the fix option, because there's nothing else you can do if you find an error other than rerun it with fix.
Well, this is the GUI interface.
You don't need to scan this drive.
Yeah, but scan it anyway because it's telling you that But scan both drives, Linda, especially if the first drive doesn't have an error.
Okay.
All right. And that's going to take a moment.
After I do that, then what do I do?
Try and copy your files again.
Yeah.
But if you find reports that something needs to be fixed, I would scan it again. And if it reports that something needs to be fixed again, dealing with a drive that's having issues, you may want to try a different external drive if that's where the problem is. Or you might be in a recovery mode where you're trying to get that data off the computer because the main hard drive is having problems. It doesn't sound like the main hard drive's having problems. You've said you've scanned it already.
I scanned it, but it must not be on there. That's what I mean. So I was wondering if I should reformat it and then try to do it again. Because I don't think now there's anything on my passport.
Format the passport you're talking about. Maybe.
Correct.
Yeah, maybe if you don't have anything there you care about, if you're not worried about losing anything that's on the passport, if it's just a utility like space that you're moving stuff to. But again, I'd still do a check disk on it to make sure that there isn't issues with the passport. Is it a new passport?
No, it's old.
Okay, so the chances that it's having problems are probably high. Like, is it over 5 years old?
All right, well, no. But I'm wondering if there's a problem moving from Windows 10 to Windows 11.
Well, you haven't done that yet.
Correct. That's what I tried to do.
No, that's what I'm saying is you don't even have the opportunity to have that problem yet. You haven't gotten that far yet. The time to be having those problems is when you're trying to get it into the Windows 11 computer, not off of the Windows 10 computer.
Right. Okay, this is weird. Because I have the passport plugged in and the light's blinking, but I'm on Windows, I'm on local disk C.
I'm
Don't format it.
that.
What?
Don't format C.
I know. All right, I'll work on it.
Okay. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I saw that we got an announcement that we're counting down to the 10-minute mark. At the 10-minute mark, how much do we have left here? You click on the blue clock, it'll tell you our call is going to end in 7 minutes. While we'll talk that down. Just a reminder, I'm going to Alaska, so our meetings have changed. They haven't changed. I'm sorry. The meetings will stay the same. The plan to do in-person meetings has changed to when I get back from Alaska. Oh, and here's something I thought people would find interesting. There is a website that you can go to if you're looking for one of those old Microsoft services. A good example is Movie Maker. Why can't we use Movie Maker anymore? Somebody made a website called Killed by Microsoft. This is killedbymicrosoft.info, and what it is a complete inventory of all the Microsoft services and applications that they have provided in the past and have now since terminated. So if you've felt like there was a tool that you used before and you're having just crazy time trying to find it, well, you might check this list because it may not exist anymore as far as Microsoft is concerned. I brought it up here on my webpage. If you can see my screen, killedbymicrosoft.info. And I just thought you guys would find it interesting. There's a search. I immediately went looking for Movie Maker because a lot of us remember that as being one of the best free movie programs. It's referred to in Microsoft as a live product. And so I'm sure I got to put in L-I-V. Oh, it's going slow. L-I-V. Silverlight killed 6 months ago. There it is. Windows Movie Maker killed 5 years ago. Later rebranded as Windows Live Movie Maker. Was a video editing software program for home users. It was over 16 years old, and they just pulled it out of their software at some point so that you didn't have access to it. This is, I think in total, they've got 75 things listed here between apps and services, operating systems. They've even got hardware that they've discontinued, like mice or routers. I just found it funny, interesting. We've been having these meetings long enough to know that Windows 10 was released for Internet of Things devices. Like you could put it on a Raspberry Pi, run Windows 10 on a Raspberry Pi to turn your sprinklers on and off. Well, they've killed that project. I didn't realize that last year, over a year ago, it says. They no longer have a Raspberry Pi version of Windows 10. Wunderlist, one of my favorites, was killed almost 2 years ago. And the original Microsoft Edge, this is all on the home page. So I don't know if you guys have an interest in that. I just found it really entertaining to see how many of these packages have been around, promoted. They've been pushed at you to be used. They were available for free. What's going on? Are we moving over? We got 3 minutes. I see Mom making hand gestures. What's going on, Mom?
Yeah. Well, I have to leave.
Oh, no.
And I know I'm right in the middle of something very important that you're saying. I
Nothing
just
is
want to
important,
tell
I'm
you
saying.
a couple things.
Go ahead.
Can I tell you a couple? All right. I just heard this morning on, I can, now with this new American thing on Radiosity, or on your stick, Fire Stick, I can watch Alaska News. This morning, something came up that I thought you might find interesting. There is, in the game area, a game that was made by natives out of Barrow, another name, I can never remember it. Anyway, it's called Never Alone. And it's been around about 8 years, but it was designed mostly for Native people. And what they were announcing this today was that no one knew about this except maybe Beryl and some of the villages, but apparently it has caught on, and I forget how many thousands of people have gotten onto this game. So
that's cool. What did you say the name is? Never Alone?
Never Alone. Yeah.
And you said that it was developed by who came up with it?
I think the Alaskan Natives in Beryl, because they were trying to figure out a modern way to do their storytelling, so that, you know, the young people have a feeling for what life might have been like, or about the stories, what they might look like. And it seems pretty simple. But I've not tried it myself, but just watching what they were saying, I mean, you might think it's too simplistic, but the speaker was saying that it's just so surprising how these young Native people really are getting into it. And they don't know who all these thousands of people are. So that might be worth just checking out, just knowing that there's something like that, because it was developed by the Native Corporation. And then, didn't know this, the Looming Towers, we just finished. It's a 2018. I thought it was real new, but it has Jeff Daniels, and it was a really good series to watch if you've not watched that. And it's all about the lead
Mom, I hate to cut you off.
It's more like CIA.
I'm afraid we're counting down right this moment. Yeah, we got like 15 seconds. Let's see you guys in the other meet, right. And if I don't see you, Mom, have a good day. All right. Are we missing anyone but Mom? Oh, there's Mom.
It turns out it's 1:15, my appointment.
So you're still with us.
No, I can tell you my last one. Wait.
Tell me the name of that one recommendation you just made. What was that called again?
The Looming Tower.
The Little Tower?
No. It's noisy.
Yeah, Paul, I think you might be bleeding over. I'm going to mute you if I can. Here we go. Okay, what was it again?
Okay, it's the Looming Tower, Looming. Now, why it doesn't say towers, I don't know, because of course it's about both the towers that fell in New York City, but they just call it the Looming Tower, and it's Jeff Daniel.
Okay. And you said you had another one.
I have one more. Maybe everybody's watched this, but we never could find it, and finally did. It's on American crime. It's their third one that has to do with it's called American Crime Impeachment, and it's all about the impeachment of course, Bill Clinton, but it's told mostly from Monica's perspective.
I just heard an interview with Monica Lewinsky. I thought she was really impressive to listen to.
Yeah, she has really grown up to be an impressive young lady. after having gone through what she went through.
Yeah.
And she's using that to help other young women.
So what did you call that? Crime something?
It's American Crime series.
American Crime. And it's Bill Clinton's.
It's called American Crime. It's the Impeachment. It's the 3rd series that has been put out.
Season 3. With a focus on Bill Clinton. Cool.
Well, it's from, it's all that happened to her. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have. I was so excited to have something to share. I wanted to get it done.
Well, thank you.
I stay for the rest of the meeting.
All right. Well, you've done your part. Thank you. Since we're in a new meet, I'll paste this link to this document again here in case anybody hasn't gotten it yet. I'm trying to edit it on the fly because it's just easier for me to keep track of everything we do in that way. And so you'll find these kinds of neat notes in there. And I brought 2 news stories with me I thought you guys would be interested in, real quick ones. The first one is these Google Meets are supposed to be getting in-meeting emoji reactions. So there's 2 features that are being brought to these Google Meets, and they weren't clear whether this is just going to be on their commercial product. I don't know if you're aware, but you can buy services from Google to provide what's called Google Workspace. And it's a commercial version of what we do here. It's Google, it's your Gmail, it's Meets, it's Google Drive, but it's all done on a business level. So it's much more space, many more features. And so maybe these emojis are going to show up in that product and not this one. But because it's such a touchy-feely thing to add, I kind of feel like we're going to see them pop up in our meets. And this will be the ability to like do thumbs ups or hearts or whatever from your side of things while people are talking. So I'm watching you, and as I talk, you could be hitting a button saying thumbs up or thumbs down as reactions to what the presenter is saying. So this is a new feature that we're going to be looking forward to in Google Meet, because it's a good thing for you to be able to share with me how you feel about what I'm saying.
How many thumbs down do you have to have before you just sign off?
Right? Maybe that's an algorithm that needs to be in there before the meet starts. Is on 45 thumbs down, the speaker is kicked off or muted.
I wonder if it'll work for college classes. You know, your dad's teaching, and he often wonders what they think of him.
Well, it's very true that it's difficult to capture nonverbal communication in this format, and so this is one more way to do it. Another option that's mentioned in the same article is that Meet's going to get a picture-in-picture mode. I'm not quite sure what this means. I think you're going to be able to have 2 windows. So you'll be able to have a window of your group and a window of who's speaking. Or it's going to be one where that window can float around with you so that you can take your Meet and you can put it right beside whatever you're doing. And it's different from taking a web browser. It's a specific piece of the web browser that you're able to take with you. Anyway, it's a short bit on updates, and I thought you guys would appreciate it since it's a tool we've been using for over 2 years now. We're expecting changes once again with it. This time we're aware of them coming. Typically, we just get here on Tuesday morning, turn it on, and go, hey, look, something's changed. But now if something changes, we're ready for it. I wanted to mention one other news story that I thought was interesting that I did see this week in tech. is that Samsung is going to let Galaxy users repair their own devices. Right now, this feels like a bit of a promo, like an anti-campaign against Apple. Apple has worked so hard to not let people be able to repair their devices. Samsung is going forward with instructions, a whole website, a trade-in plan. They are focusing on the older devices first, which is really nice because those are the ones that actually are going to need repair. And maybe you're living, you don't have the means to upgrade your device. So they're providing instructions and access to parts. So this is a very cool thing. It kind of signifies this change in the tech space where they're recognizing that there's more people that have less ability to replace their devices. It's they're looking more at the environment. It's both economical and environmental. It's just a great way to be socially aware at this moment. So if you've got an old Galaxy phone out there, there's a good chance, maybe even a tablet, that Samsung will provide you with all the help you need to fix it yourself. Or at the very least, they're going to be providing that kind of help to people like me so I can fix it for you. Those are the two articles that I brought with me. I find this CNN business article very interesting because they put a picture of Apple under the Samsung title. I think they're just mocking Apple for not being able to be fixed. Changing batteries. This is also an interesting thing. I think that I was reading, I didn't bring an article with me and I just saw it in passing. But I think the European Union right now has a battery replacement bill going through that would require all phones to have user replaceable batteries. And I have to say, I think this is the way that we shape our future with technology, is by insistence through legislation, through a democratic process of what we expect from our technology in the future. Our concerns are environmental most times these days, and it seems like if we've all decided that we need to be able to put a battery into a phone ourselves, and they're still not building devices that do that, or they build devices in such abundance that don't do that, that it is hurting our environment, then we have to do it with regulation, and I think this is a good way to do it. So we may be looking at user replaceable batteries in the near future if this gets through the European Union. They are the reason that we have privacy. We're able to collect all our private information from a tech company is because of the European Union's way of doing things. The European Union's way of doing charging. They're the reasons that we have USB ports on all our phones for charging. They're the reason that you can take your phone over to your friend's house and plug it into his charger when it's going dead. That was unheard of before they started getting into this kind of regulation. And it just makes sense. It makes sense stuff that businesses just weren't doing at the time. I have exhausted everything that I have brought to today's meeting, and I will entertain anyone else's topics or questions, or we can go right to some recommendations and then get out of here and call it a day. I did bring 2 recommendations. That's the only thing left on my list. If you guys are interested in what we've been watching that we've enjoyed, I've got 2 movies that I would hand, and it'll take just a moment for that list to get in front of me. Here it is. We watched a movie called White Boy Rick. I don't know if anybody has mentioned this yet. This is a story about a teenage boy that ended up in gun running. This is in Chicago, as well as drug dealing at the behest of the FBI. It's not a happy story, but it's very interesting, and you watch how he gets involved in this and where it takes him. It's got Matthew McConaughey in it, and it's an easy recommendation. It's kind of a dark film. And the other to counteract that, to go all the way to the other side of the spectrum, the other film, also a Netflix found film that we've watched recently that thoroughly enjoyed, laughed all the way through, is a silly movie called The Bubble. And if you haven't watched this yet, this is the story of making a movie during COVID. And these people are trapped together during the duration of this production, and the psychological effects and the humor that is spawned from being stuck in this situation with these same people. And it's got some really good actors in it. It's got Pedro Pascal from The Mandalorian and from Wonder Woman, and from I know there's some cowboy people out there that know him from other stuff. I also think he was in Game of Thrones. Is that right? I don't remember. Who else is in it? The Bubble has they're slipping my mind now. The Bubble. Anyway, it's good. You look it up. It's worth watching. It's very funny. We laughed a lot. Just the green screen scenes alone are really good. Karen Gillan's in it. David Duchovny's in it, from X-Files fame. What's his Apatow's wife's in it? Leslie Mann, Pedro Pascal, Iris Apatow. That's got to be his daughter. I didn't even realize this. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. Daisy Ridley's in it. Keegan-Michael Key, that's who I was trying to remember. Fred Armisen, Gus Kahn, and Kate McKinnon's also in it. It's just full of people. In fact, this cast is just amazing. So that's anybody else have a recommendation? It's not just movies. It could be TV shows, books, audiobooks, applications. Mom recommended a game earlier. I'll put that on the list. I'll go do the research on what that is. I find it interesting to think that there's a game out there by Native Alaskans that is becoming popular.
Yeah.
That alone, very interesting. If you have a book or any other... Never Alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the name of the game.
So I started a series. It looks just on Netflix. It just looks like Anna, but I think it's Creating Anna.
That's good.
Oh, Inventing Anna. Yes.
Inventing Anna.
Yeah, that Anna character is very smart, but very quirky.
Do you
Yes.
remember her from the Ozarks?
The actress.
Yep. Yes, the little curly-haired blonde one who
What's the
lives in
name
the
of it?
trailer.
What's the name of it?
The show is called
Which one?
Inventing Anna. We've talked about it before here. Yeah. It's the story of that, what do you call it? The heiress? She was calling it, she was a fake, raising money from venture capital to open a social club network intended for the very rich.
Yeah.
If I may, aren't there two movies? I've noticed on Netflix there's one called Hannah with an H, and another one called Inventing Anna. The Inventing Anna one was based on a true story of a girl that tried to fraud people, and well, that's the question. Did she try to fraud them, or did she really believe that she was going to create this business? And it was very well done, and we have talked about it before. But that other one with the word Hannah in it, I'm wondering if that's the one Paul's talking about.
No,
Hannah, I think isn't
Inventing
here.
Anna.
Okay.
Is it Hannah or Anna?
It's Anna. It's Anna. And Hannah has been the name of a couple of different things, a movie and a TV series, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Inventing Anna.
Okay.
And
Okay.
actually, what's interesting is these fraud shows are big right now. I recommended about 2 weeks ago one called We Crashed, and it's another one that is very similar in scope, where you're left wondering, are they actually frauds? Are they just dumb? They took venture capitalists for millions of dollars and spent it on parties and lavishing gifts. The We Crashed is the one with Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway, and it's another series in these kinds of movies and these kinds of TV shows. And then the third one, which I haven't had a chance to start yet, is called The Dropout. And this is the one about the Holmes, the Elizabeth Holmes girl, and her company Thanos, that was building a device so that like Walgreens could take a prick of your blood and run it through a machine that would tell you all of the different symptoms and problems you might be having with the blood. So you could
And
get...
she was found guilty.
Say that again, Chester?
She was found guilty.
Yeah. Of frauding people out of money.
Her
Turn off
boyfriend.
your microphone, Cheryl.
Yeah, I was just trying to mute it for her.
Her boyfriend is now being tried.
Say that again, Chester?
Her boyfriend is now being tried.
Is now being tried. Yes. And I think she actually, at one point in her trial, part of her defense was using her boyfriend, saying that he had control over her, had
Abused
played
her.
mind games on her, abused her. Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't work.
So I think this is like a trilogy of fraudsters that I think this true crime story genre that's become so popular has resulted in these 3 miniseries coming out at about the exact same time. And they all revolve around the tech area and venture capital, mostly, but not tech, but venture capitalism. So it's very interesting.
Well, then, I watched one the last couple of nights, Pieces of Her, or A Piece of Her, or Pieces of Her, and again, I don't know if it's based on a true story, but rich pharmaceutical, somebody gets killed, and somebody goes into witness protection. It was quite well done. I found it quite slow, but I binged through the whole series.
It was a series.
And I think it's called Pieces.
Yeah.
Pieces of Her, a miniseries.
Is it Toni Collette, the actress?
I
Australian.
kind of recognized her, but I don't know.
Pieces of Her. Well, I will look it up.
Me too.
Yeah.
Anything else there, Cheryl?
Nope. Sorry for all the packing noises. I'm just putting everything that's going to Canada in the one suitcase that goes in the front of the back of the car. And yes, it's crazy times here.
Well, let me end this podcast with a quick, or end this meeting. It will end up a podcast, but let's end this meeting with a quick update on San Carlos. I looked at the COVID map for Sonora, and every municipality is in green right now. Some places are greener than green. I don't know how that's cool though. And there has been no intention of trying to stop Semana Santa. I think it's coming at us like floodwaters. They have had cleaning going on in all the streets. San Carlos is beautiful once again. All the trash is picked up. All the weeds have been weeded. And now we're waiting for the desmadre to come over us.
But Scott, didn't I see that the commissariat posted a list of things that were not going to happen? For example, no vehicles on the beach, and that no alcohol in certain places. I don't know. I thought I saw a bunch of rules.
Well, there's always a bunch of rules. You know what I'm hoping? I'm hoping with such growth around here in ownership, Mexican ownership, that we have some real influential groups of people that are owning summer homes here, and that they will want to come here and take advantage of their new home. And when they start having problems with trash and people peeing in the streets and broken glass in places, that they will be such a driving force that it will encourage us to have enforcement over that. So that it will, I'm hoping that, and this will probably be, it's all hope. It's all hope. It's all hope. I don't know what's going to happen. It's all hope. But this could be the example of enforcement. Like the moment things start going awry, there are people complaining about it and getting the police out there to go, hey, put an end to that. Stop that. Because I think we're going to have a bigger influx of families than we've ever had before. And in the past, what we've been is we've been the party location for all these kids that couldn't afford to go anywhere else, coming from Obregón and Hermosillo, doing their university vacation in San Carlos, because all they needed was a cheap bus ticket and they could sleep on the beach and save the rest of their money for beer. I think that this Semana Santa will be the biggest influx of Mexican families over the Semana Santa time period. And I just hope that has some influence over just the whole air of the experience. Paul, are you trying to say something there?
It'll be nice after Semana Santa, with all the Canadians will be gone.
Yeah. I see one that packing right now.
Well, a lot of Canadians have left Loma del Mar already.
Hey.
By the way, I just got my second booster shot. Your dad and I decided we would get it before we head home. And so far, no reactions to it.
Oh, good. Good. Did you have to sign up on the website and make an appointment to go get it? Or were you able to walk into a store and just get it?
Well, some of the, there's at least one I know of around us of Walgreens that will do walk-ins, but the other Walgreens, the one we use, the closest to us, we had to have an appointment and we got it online.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. I just realized Fred has not been with us all meeting, and I actually had an appointment to help him remotely today after the meeting. So I need to find out what's going on with Fred. So I'm going to let you guys go. Say that again, Cheryl.
There was another time change thing that happened. All of a sudden, my phone decided that we had changed last Sunday. So I don't know if parts of Mexico changed time last week, and Canada and U.S. changed before that. So there's been a couple of time changes. So
yeah, that may have been it. He just got caught up in the time change. He's probably going to join us momentarily as we're
there. You go.
Walking out of this meeting. Hey, when are you guys out of here?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. All right. Well, I don't know if I'll see you in person again before you leave, so let me say goodbye now.
Yeah, we're going to come up and just explore 3 days in southern Arizona, down in the Bisbee, Tombstone area.
Oh, great. Yeah, we had a lot of fun there.
Sorry, there's caves down there. I can't remember what it's called, but there's one cave that is really designed to not let people through, but yet let people through. Wish I could think of what it's called, but it's below Tucson towards, where were you, Scott? Where did you go?
Tombstone.
Tombstone. It's in that somewhere between Tucson and Tombstone.
Well, I'm thinking
they're wonderful. What?
Karchner Caverns.
I think that's it. It's really well worth going through. They're wonderful caves.
Well, Sandy, I'm more interested in the winery than the
Yeah.
caves.
Well, there might be one at the bottom. I'm not sure. You'll have to go down and see.
The seller task.
I'm with you. No, they won't let you do that. I remember.
All right, guys, I'm letting you go. Until next Tuesday, tech on.
Happy trails to those of you traveling.
Well, that's it. We did it again once more. That was a computer club meeting, a virtual computer club meeting. We are still not having in-person meetings, and that's probably not happening until October at the earliest. I am tentatively planning for that. Until then, until next Tuesday, everyone have a great week and tech on.